Hello and welcome to Valuechain News. I am Naomi Oleribe. First, the headlines. Ipman blows horns over delayed payments of 500 billion naira bridging claims. Jamo lists growth potentials for the maritime industry. NNPC, CBN helpless over skyrocketing jet fuel prices. And now, the news in detail. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has warned that the refusal of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, to pay its members their bridging claims of 500 billion naira could lead to a fuel crisis. This was disclosed in a news conference in Kano on Monday by IPMAN State Chairman Alhaji Bashir Dan Malam, who called on the federal government to prevail on the agency to pay the debts. He warned that if the federal government does not intervene, there will be serious fuel crisis in the country, as the situation has resulted in only 5% of marketers still remaining in the business. Dan Malam stated that bridging claims, the cost of transporting petroleum products from refineries and depots to fuel stations owed the association is to the tune of 500 billion naira. He added that the non-payment of the debts for over 8 months has crippled the businesses of many members as they cannot transport available petroleum products. The resurfacing of fuel queues in Abuja is just a tip of the iceberg. Only 5% of marketers are still in business. Dan Malam added, "We are not agitating for transportation fee increase. We are only clamoring for payment of our bridging claims that is more than 500 billion naira," he said. The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jamo, has stated that the growth potentials for the maritime industry can only be realized through the development of a harmonized port control inspection procedures for West and Central Africa. He made this known while addressing chief executives of all maritime administrations who are signatories to the Abuja MOU at the International Maritime Organization, IMO, an organized workshop on port state control for West and Central African region. According to him, as we all know, port state control provisions are featured in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea provisions under the duties and responsibilities of flag states, coastal states, and port states, and it is also highlighted under enforcement in all major IMOs and some ILO conventions. This function entails the enforcement of applicable conventions of the IMO and ILO that have been cascaded down to us as signatory states for domestication through our national laws, while declaring NIMASA's unflinching commitment to Abuja MOU in its focus for reduction of substandard ships, curbing marine pollution, and ensuring good working conditions of crew members on board ships within member state waters. Jamo urged the 22 member countries of the Abuja Memorandum of Understanding on Port State Control, Abuja MOU, to improve on their financial contributions to the organization. The chief executives of the NNPC Limited and the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, have told the National Assembly and the country's airline association that they can't help the soaring jet fuel prices in the country because it was beyond their control. Fuel prices globally have risen sharply since Western companies began imposing a series of increasingly tight financial sanctions on Russia after its invasion of Ukraine in late February. The ripple effect has been felt sharply by already debt-laden airlines who rely on imported kerosene or jet fuel that is not subsidized. We cannot fix the prices of aviation on a deregulated commodity. The only way we can fix the price of aviation fuel is to introduce a subsidy. Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, told lawmakers. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele said he could not offer the airlines a concessionary rate on foreign exchange to help with more imports. If it is naira intervention that airlines want, they could approach their banks. The banks will look at it, Emefiele said. South Sudan's finance minister has revealed that the nation's crude oil has been sold out in advance until 2027, a development that has the country broke. Addressing the media on why the world's youngest nation is unable to pay civil servants, military, or feed its population, Minister Agag Achul said the reason that the country has been unable to pay civil servant salary arrears since January was because the country has sold its crude oil in advance for the next 5 years. South Sudan produces roughly 150,000 to 170,000 barrels a day, but because of the share owed to oil companies and fees paid to Sudan, it earns income from 45,000 barrels at most. South Sudan ranks third in oil reserves in sub-Saharan Africa, with roughly 3.5 billion barrels produced annually. Still, 90% of its gas and oil reserves are untapped, and the government says it is working to increase non-oil revenues to reduce dependency on oil revenues. Portuguese energy group Galp is considering selling its oil extraction operations in Angola. Bloomberg reported last week that the Portuguese oil company is working with a financial consultant to ascertain market interest in its assets in the Angolan market. It could be a positive move, said BPI analyst, admitting that the timing seems perfect to make the Angolan assets profitable given the high price of oil. They added that the revenue from a potential deal could be earmarked for low carbon projects or a special dividend. Angola accounts for about 10% of Galp's total oil and gas production, according to 2021 data, said BPI. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, said the introduction of the central bank digital currency, e-Naira, is one piece of evidence to the fact that Nigeria's payment system has been deepened under his leadership. Emefiele expressed optimism that the Apex Bank will achieve the 85% financial inclusion rate target in Nigeria within a very short period from its current rate of slightly below 70%. The CBN chief expressed joy that even the International Monetary Fund (IMF) and the World Bank recognize what his team is doing in the area of the electronic form of central bank money. The governor made these remarks yesterday in Abuja when he received officials from the Bank of Uganda who undertook an experience sharing tour of CBN's CBDC e-Naira project launched last year. E-Naira is the digital form of the Naira and is used just like cash. The e-Naira wallet is a digital storage that hosts the e-Naira. It is a unit of account, store of value, and medium of exchange. Before we end the news, here's a recap of our headlines. Ape man blows hot over delayed payment of 50 billion naira bridging claims. Jamo lists growth potential for the maritime industry. NNPC, CBN helpless over skyrocketing jet fuel prices. And that's the news. I am Naomi Oleribe. Good evening.